What's happening, people? It's your girl Mina. Welcome back to my channel. You guys already know what it is. Happy Saturday. I hope you all having a wonderful day, night, morning, evening, whatever the time zone is, wherever you are watching. Big up to everyone that's locked in. You guys already know what it is. First and foremost, thank you all for the lovely messages. I've been down bad. I've been down bad with a very bad flu, a bug, whatever it is that's going around at the moment. But I'm back now and I'm feeling a lot better. Number one thing, guys, when you're sick, don't you just appreciate your health a lot more? Because I appreciate my health and my ability to breathe through my nose a lot more when suddenly I can't breathe through my nose and everything is so congested. But I'm sure a lot of you guys know, because I know a lot of people have been sick over the last month with this flu as well. So be sure to take care of yourself. I've been trying to keep up with Manchester United news and just transfer news in general over the last week or so. But it doesn't seem like a lot of new things have really come to light. Maybe bar the Jadon Sancho news. Obviously today, Timo Werner looking to be joining Tottenham Hotspur, which for me, I think that's actually a great move. I actually think that's a very, very good move for Timo Werner. I'm not gonna lie, I think he'll work well in that Spurs system, especially, you know, the high pressing, the high line, kind of creating space for his players. He's not really going to score them 25-30 goals, and they don't need it. United need someone that's going to score them 25 goals right now. Let's be honest, because we got 22 goals in the league. We need someone that's going to score 20 goals for us. So I kind of understand you know, Timo Werner leaning more towards that Spurs side. It seems like United are only going for loans. We're broke, baby. We're broke. We ain't got no money. We ain't got no money whatsoever. And obviously, there's a bit of news surrounding the Jadon Sancho loan move back to Borussia, as I like to call it, because he's heading back to Dortmund, back to Germany. And there is no obligation to buy, because Manchester United feel like his value right now is not that high. So they want to reassess the situation come summertime. I'm not sure what they mean by reassess the situation. Is that if the manager leaves, they're going to keep him, or they're just going to try sell him again? I don't know. But one thing I can't bear to put up with is the idea of him, if he performs well at Dortmund, good on him, absolutely amazing and good on him. But I don't want to hear people saying, see, this is what happens when Sancho does this, and see, this is what happens when Sancho does that, because my guy has been happy to sit on the bench, not even on the bench. He's been happy to sit at home and chill and cool off because he's been beefing the manager. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Big up to Sidoff. I hope you feel better soon. Says, even I am COVID positive right now. I'm not going to lie, guys. I didn't do a COVID test, but I've had COVID like 3 times, I think, or maybe I've had COVID twice, actually. Have I had COVID twice or 3 times? Yeah, I've had COVID twice. 3rd time, I am not taking a test. I'm just going to stay at home. And that's exactly what I did. I stayed indoors, didn't come into contact with anyone, just because I felt like crap as well. Big up to Austin, says Queen Mean. Hope you're feeling better. I'm feeling a lot better today. Big up. Big up to Matt, says, feels like United been hiding outside this gym visit news. I don't know why they're kind of picture it, like the articles I've read about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Dave Brasford, or whatever his name is, visiting Carrington and visiting Old Trafford. It's like, oh, the savior is here to save Manchester United. Like, and he's saying, I'm not gonna lie, guys, they're saying a lot of the right stuff. But for me, as far as I'm concerned, it's way too early for me to judge on anything with to do with this 25% takeover. I need to see before I say anything. It's as simple as that. And I don't have my hopes up, if I'm being honest. I don't really have my hopes up. I saw yesterday or the day before he had a whole like open discussion with Manchester United employees and said, you know, for far long he's, you know, Sir Jim Ratcliffe said that he's assessed the situation at Manchester United and, you know, where the shortcomings are, where the problems are, and they are going to fix that. Let's wait and see. Big up Lil Yo-Yo, says, just recovered from COVID. It seems like there's a lot of people with COVID or recovering from COVID in the chat. Hope you're feeling better. Big up to Dipesh, says, glad you are feeling better, Mina. Listen, guys, this year I've decided I'm going to diversify the content on my channel. Of course, it's going to be a lot of Manchester United stuff, but with the transfer window, I'm going to do a lot of non-Manchester United transfer stuff. I'm going to try to get some guests on, try to get some, you know, other content creators of other clubs, you know, the Arsenals, the Liverpools, the Chelseas, the Spurs, I don't know anyone that supports City. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know anyone that supports City. But I'm gonna try to find someone that supports City, and we're gonna talk about obviously transfer news and all of that stuff. So please be welcoming to them, yeah. Please be welcoming to them and to the content as well. But guys, let's talk about the striker problem Manchester United have. I saw the funniest video, yeah. La Liga watch-alongs, please. I'll do it. Absolutely. You called for it, so I will do it. I will just need to check to see what La Liga games are worth doing watch-alongs for. But guys, I saw the funniest video that it was a throwback from United View. Obviously, big up to United View, and it was KG last season, at the end of last season, and not even at the end of last season. It was actually last year, January, saying United are only a striker away from challenging. And I saw that video and I laughed because I thought, wow, how things have changed. Ricky Rubio has retired. Sorry, guys. It's big up to Connor for this chat. Says, hearing about Werner going on loan to Spurs instead of Man U intrigues and concerns me. Side note, Ricky Rubio has retired. I didn't... Why is Ricky... He's kind of young. Ricky Rubio ain't that old to be retiring. But I know he's had a bunch of injury problems. So I'm shocked to see that he's actually... And he's only, what, 33? Okay, that's not really... it's old in basketball terms, but not so much. Not so much. I'm shocked that he's retiring. I mean, I liked him at the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. But on the topic of Manchester United and strikers, obviously Timo Werner probably joining Spurs, agreed terms for a 6-month loan deal. I already said what I said on him. I think that makes sense for him. I think as the style of player that he is, I think he's better suited to Spurs than he is to Manchester United. Right now, Manchester United need, and you know how sad it is? That's how you know United they've been poor in transfer windows, because we spent 70 million on a prospect for a striker that's got 1 Premier League goal. And you know what? It's going to take him time to adapt to the league, but it was our fault for buying him in the first place. When last year, what did we need? We needed a striker. The year before, we haven't had a proper number 9, I would say, since like a starting number 9 since Lukaku. To me, Cavani wasn't a starting number 9. Cavani wasn't a starting striker at the time. We could say Cavani as well, but even so, if you look at Lukaku, all the number 9s we've signed for so long, we've needed a number 9. Over the last couple of years, we needed one. Ronaldo was just another stopgap. You know, I saw a video on, I think it was Stretford Paddock. I'm sorry, I can't remember what they're called, but Stretford Paddock. And the brother on it, I forgot what his name is. If you lot can remind me what the guy's name is on Stretford Paddock. He was basically talking about how the Ronaldo move just basically effed up every plan under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and the process of how United signed Ronaldo. So apparently he was in talks with City, and somebody told him that Man United don't want him. So Ronaldo, called Rio and said, Rio, you know, apparently United don't want me. Rio then called Woodward. Woodward then called, so someone called Sir Alex, and then Woodward called Matt Judge, and then amongst themselves they decided, yep, we're going to sign Ronaldo. Oli was about apparently the 8th or the 7th person to find out about this move, and that hindered kind of the build-up and the process. You know, everyone's favorite word, the process that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was building, and maybe that's why that season it just seemed like it was just freestyle. It was just freestyle. And Ronaldo scored 20-something goals, and shout out to him, because that was, honestly, I'm not going to lie, that game that Ronaldo came back to United, Old Trafford, return, amazing. Absolutely amazing. But this has been a problem. Steve, yeah, that's who it is. It was Steve. That was who it was. I saw a video on Twitter. There's like a 3-minute video of it. And it was really interesting, actually, because, you know, it kind of confirmed what a lot of people thought. A lot of people did think that Oli had nothing to do with the transfer, and it kind of did confirm it. And I trust that guy, because I know that he does have sources, and, you know, he's close to Rio and whatnot. But that's just another further example of how United have been needing a striker for so long, and nothing, you know. Another January, we spent 70 million in the summer, all to just end up going in January again to get another striker, probably on loan, because we got no money. But even then, why are United only shopping in the Bundesliga? United, every striker that we've been linked to, we've been linked to Timo Werner, who's now going off to Spurs. We've been linked to Choupo-Moting. We've been linked to him. Shout out to him, but Come on, guys. And every striker we've been linked to is 30 plus. We've been linked to Muller. And obviously we've been linked to Guirassy, which is more so a buy option. I think it's 17 million euros. United ain't spending that. I mean, we're loaning Jadon Sancho out for less than what we loaned Weghorst for. Do you know how funny that is? We are loaning Sancho for 3 million euros. We spent more on Wout Weghorst. United clearly don't have the funds like that, and nor can they negotiate it. And you know what? I blame that on Ten Hag, and I blame that on Sancho for depreciating his value. I think in the summer they valued him at 45 million when they wanted to sell him, but I think the manager wanted to sell him and the club didn't. I don't know for what reason, but it's just a saga that's just played out for so long. Now I look at the striker options that we might have. Really and truly, are any of them coming in to score 20 goals in the next couple months? Are any of them? And this is, again, a shortcoming of Manchester United, because you don't go out and spend 70 million on a striker that is not proven. You're paying 70 million for potential, which for me, I think is a big risk. Look how much times we've paid for potential. We've paid for potential way too many times. Big up to VK with the super chat. I appreciate it. Says, have a blessed 2024 minute and all in the chat. Big up to everyone. I think I feel like 2024 is going to be a good one. I honestly think it's going to be a good one. Big up to Joe in the chat. Says, hi Mina, how are you feeling? Big up. I'm feeling a lot better today. The last few days I've just been in bed trying to recover. Why United are not in for Ivan Toney, loan with option to buy in the summer could be done. I don't think Brentford are looking to let him go on a loan. Simple as that. I genuinely see, if Ivan Toney goes to anywhere in the Premier League, he's going to Arsenal. Like, I think that's a given. I genuinely think that's a given. If he goes anywhere in the league, he is going to Arsenal. It's as simple as that. And the reason why I say that is because, for me, Arsenal just need a striker to really be complete, right? And you look at all the options. I mean, he's posting them on his story every time they were playing. When he was not playing, or not, and I think he's back later this month, but every time that Arsenal was playing a game, he would post it on his story, similar to what Mudryk was doing before he went to Chelsea. Obviously, I think Brentford want to cash in on him. And I think his value will probably, if he stays at Brentford, I think his value will go up, because I think if he comes back and he's scoring goals again, he's going to the Euros. And essentially, I think he'll go to the Euros. I mean, you look at the striking options that England have. Kane, Ollie Watkins, maybe. How many strikers do you think would from the Premier League would go outside of Kane? Obviously, he's not in the Prem. But I think Ivan Toney, if he hits the ground running again with Brentford after his ban, I think he's easily going to go to the Euros. And after that, his price would be even more higher. His value will be even more higher. So Brentford kind of makes sense why they're probably kind of trying to hold on to him. He would never join United. Let's just get that clear. I feel like, we've been linked to quite a few players, and I'm going to speak on it as well, because of we've been linked to Elise, we've been linked to Eze. Again, those are players that I don't see joining United. Like, I don't see it happen. I feel like if United do go out and buy people, I think a lot of the people they're going to buy is players that fit the prospect of what the recruitment strategy is, i.e. whatever sporting project that INEOS are trying to build, I think INEOS are going to sign players that match that. And if Elise, if Eze, if, flipping Osherman, all of them guys, if they don't fit that sporting project, I don't think INEOS are going to sign them, even if the manager wants them. Now, I saw a report, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that suggested that the manager is not happy about, possibly having to take a back seat with transfers. And that's funny to me, because, bro, your transfers have sucked. Like, they've been poor. And now you're saying you're not happy to do that. Well, I was told by many people, everyone said this to me, I was told that the reason why he was successful at Ajax is because he had Overmars and Van der Sar above him making the transfer plans. And he just had to worry about coaching. But suddenly, he doesn't want to do that. He wants to have as much of a say in the transfers as he has been the last 2 summer windows. And that's something I think INEOS are not willing to give up on. Mark my words, guys. If this manager ends up leaving the club, this will be one of the reasons. I think this will be one of the reasons, because I feel like Erik ten Hag has really not undermined but underestimated the Premier League and the caliber and the type of players that you need to succeed in the Premier League. I think, you come to the league from the Dutch league, and you try to implement that style of football without taking into consideration the intensity of the league, the opponents. No disrespect to the Dutch league, guys, no disrespect at all. But if you go to play whoever's bottom of the league, if you go to play whoever's bottom of the league in the Dutch league, I don't think you get the same experience if you go to play against Burnley or Luton or Sheffield United. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's the same. I feel like sometimes you come up against the lower half teams, especially the teams like at the bottom of the table, and they could take a point off you, and they could take maybe 3 points off you. But most likely they could they could fight for a draw. Whereas I feel like back in the Dutch league, when he was in the Dutch league, it wasn't really like that. So he came to the Premier League, and I feel like he underestimated that. And I feel like he actually underestimated the physicality of the league, because really and truly, United didn't really buy any physical players. Everybody that we've brought under Erik ten Hag, I would say, they are not physically strong. They are not physically strong players. And you saw that in the Wolves game. Yeah, you saw that in the Wolves game. We were getting bulldozed over. Every game that comes up where we come up against stronger teams physically, I don't want to say United's the weakest team in the league, because that's kind of harsh. But do you guys think that United are the weakest team in the league? And when I say weakest, I don't mean like mentally. I just mean physically. Like, because I feel like, when I seen Mason Mount getting absolutely destroyed. I think it was by Joe Linton in the Carabao Cup. I think it was the Carabao Cup game where he tried to track back, and it's like Joe Linton just went like this with his arm, and Mount just went flying. Mount just went absolutely flying. I feel like with a lot of the signings that Erik ten Hag has brought in, it's just not really matched up to the caliber of what you need in the Premier League. And that's why I'm a bit relieved to hear that, if INEOS, when INEOS are fully emerged in the transfer strategies, that the manager won't really the manager might have his requests and that, but I don't think he'll be able to push for signings like he did with Antony. I mean, it was reported that he basically said to sign Antony for whatever it takes, which is why that dumbass Murto went and dashed 100 million at Ajax. At Ajax, you are required to develop their youth, whilst at United, he disregarded Iqbal Mengi for next to nothing. You know what? This is a valid point, because I saw Mengi he's having a phenomenal season at Luton Town. Didn't even get a chance under Erik ten Hag. I think he did get a chance in the past. I think it was under Ollie, maybe 1 or 2 games, not really like a real run of games. But I've seen that he's being priced at like 15, 20 million now for a bigger move in the Premier League. I can only see United going for him next year for like 50, 60 million, because that's what United do. Hopefully they don't do that, but this is a very valid point. Obviously Iqbal has been quite unfortunate. He's playing in the Dutch league. He's been unfortunate with injuries. I think he just came back in like December from an injury, so unfortunate for that. But you look at a lot of players. You look at Anthony Elanga had the United fan base going crazy after the Nottingham Forest game, and you know what, he said a lot of valid points. He said a lot of valid points in his post-match conference about how he never really got a consistent run of games, and it was always like 10 minutes here, 5 minutes here, and really he just took his opportunity at Nottingham Forest to perform. And you know what, I'm not going to say Anthony Elanga is the best winger in the league or any of that stuff, but he's a prime example of another player that just didn't get he got a run of opportunities under what's his name, Ralph Ragnick. And he had a few opportunities under Ollie, but in terms of under Ten Hag completely disregarded him. And I feel like if Ten Hag doesn't rate you from the beginning, you're never getting a chance, basically. You're never getting a chance. I mean, Facundo Pellistri right now, if you guys have seen, is linked to a move to Villarreal. Villarreal are interested in him. And I think they're actually interested in him on a permanent basis, not even a loan. They're interested in a permanent basis. So that could be another player that just never really got a chance. Well, could we say that Pellistri never got a chance at United? Because I think he did he got a few games this season, but I wouldn't say consistently. I wouldn't say consistently. Big up to LM says, because he doesn't have good structure, I mean, we still employ that clown Matt Judge in big 2024. Big up to Olumba says, we got to stop signing old players, big money players. I seen we're linked to Dybala, like, really, like, no disrespect to Dybala, but are we in 2017 or 2018? Is it a transfer window where we're not linked to Dybala? It reminds me of that time we were Schneider. Was it Schneider that we were linked to for so long, years ago? Absolutely, years ago. Just as much about having no room to fall behind the top teams, in my opinion. That's true. There's like 6 other Ajaxes ready to perform in our league at any given moment. I totally agree. Especially so when you drop points, you know, you got Brighton behind you, you got Newcastle behind you. Villa ain't even behind us, but you have Villa behind you. West Ham are still in and around that top 8, top 9. I mean, we went from talking about top 4 in the Premier League to talking about top 5. Then we started talking, you know, City came into it. We started talking about top 5. Then Newcastle and Spurs came into it. We're talking about top 6, top 7. Now Brighton, West Ham guys saying top 9. You know, when we talk about stats in the league now, we're talking about top 9 because that's how close everybody is to each other. In the league. Ten Hag should only be able to suggest what type of player he needs, but not to choose someone specific, like what should be the attributes and the club buy them for Ten Hag. The thing is, this is interesting because before INEOS actually took over, I saw a report that basically said that INEOS's recruitment strategy and the sporting project that they wanted to build at Manchester United is not going to be centered around the style of football that a manager plays. Rather, so it'll be centered around the style of football that they want United to play. So regardless of, you know, if there's a new manager, United will consistently play the same style of football. So as a result of that, their plan was to go and sign players that fit their style. We don't know what that is. Under INEOS, we don't know what their sporting project entails. We don't know if they're going... Well, we do know that they said that they're going for like a British core, whatever the hell that means. But they're going for a British core of players. So if that means that they're going for predominantly players that played in the UK, or they're going for predominantly British players, I'm not too sure. But it'll be very interesting to see the kind of... I don't think we will really know much about INEOS's sporting project until probably the summer transfer window. I think this January one is too vague. I can definitely say we probably should anticipate a lot more outgoings than incomings. I genuinely don't see us signing a player. Honestly, I do not see us signing a player. The only way I see us signing a striker is if Martial leaves. And you know what? I feel sorry for Martial, guys. I don't feel sorry for him, but I feel sorry for the way that he's butchered and criticized and ripped online, to a standard that not many other players really get at Manchester United. You would think this guy never scored for us. You would think this guy was a bum. You would think that he was absolutely crap. I saw a tweet. Let me see if I can pull it up. I can't remember. I think it was maybe I think it was ESPN or someone posted like his stats, number of games, goals, assists, and trophies, and the caption was basically like, "Is Martial, was he a flop at Manchester United?" And I think it's kind of unfair to label him as that. I think the last 2 years, his injuries have been unable to deal with. But if you guys do remember, he did an interview, and I want to bring up them quotes actually, because he did an interview last year. He did an interview. It was last year, last September 2022. He did an interview, and he talked about obviously Jose Mourinho. He also talked about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he basically said that he felt betrayed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer essentially said to him that he needed him, and Martial was taking injections for months and months and months and playing through injury. And then when he was getting ripped by the media, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer never came out to defend him. I think he said that Mourinho costed him a place in the World Cup team back in 2018, all because of a shirt number, the number 11, sorry. He basically said to him, no, he said to him he wanted to change him from number 9 to number 11, and he said basically no. And then he said Mourinho was indirecting him in press conferences. Basically, this whole Martial situation, I think, has just dragged out. Martial is the example of another player that should have left. Probably after his failed loan spell at Sevilla, he should have left. I mean, last year he barely played. This year, barely has played. Should have just parted ways with him. But the club's inability to sell players. That's the biggest problem, I think, is the club's inability to sell players. And it's quite frustrating to watch. The only way I said it, the only way I see us signing a striker in this window is if we get rid of Martial. But even then, it's going to be a loan signing. And most likely it's going to be a player who's 30 plus, and we're going to be begging them in March to score a Premier League goal when they still haven't probably scored one. I've seen this script before. I've seen this story before, guys. I've seen how it plays out. INEOS wants United to play the United way. Even I don't know what's the United way. I'm hoping the idea behind the push for British players is to never miss out on a Bellingham, Rice, etc., as opposed to choosing players on the basis of their Britishness. I agree. If it's one of these situations so that we don't miss out on big English talents again, I'm all for it. You know what? I would be all for. You know, I'd be all for. He's not Brit. Well, he is English, but he's actually half English, half German. But Jamal Musiala. I would take Jamal Musiala at Manchester United in a heartbeat. Would you trade Musiala for Bruno Fernandes? That's what I want to know. Because I would take Musiala in a heartbeat at Manchester United. I think he would operate well if we had like a number 9 and a lot of other situations. But it would actually, to be honest, Musiala coming to Manchester United might be another situation where we make a player crap. That might be another situation. But again, I understand this sentiment, and it's a sentiment I can get behind. You know, you look at all the upcoming English talents or British talents, and if United could go out and, you know, redo history, we could have ended up with Bellingham if we could have redone history. But apparently that was messed up by Meta. Oh man. Just like at Real Madrid, whoever's the manager, they always know the signings. That's true. He brings on the kids when the game is gone dead. The other players have given up. How do you expect kids to do well to show potential? He brings them on when we need to defend a lead. I generally don't think like a lot of academy players have gotten a fair chance in the team. I feel like, you know, let's be honest, bar Garnacho and now Kobe, who else has got a fair run of games in the team? No one. No one from the academy has gotten a fair run of teams. I mean, Hannibal Mejbri has just had his 1-year option triggered. But that's because they want to sell him, not because they see a future for him in the club. Because if they saw a future for him, they would have given him a contract, a new contract. But they want to sell him. So obviously they've triggered that 1-year extension. And if, you know, they can get, and he's also not going to AFCON, which for me is quite interesting. It's interesting he's not going to AFCON because I genuinely thought Tunisia would call him up. But he's not going. Apparently he could be linked to a loan move to leave in January to get more playing time. But again, that's another player that has gone on a long-term loan last year, had a good loan spell, and just can't sniff a chance in the team. You know, Alvaro Fernandez, we terminate. Luke Shaw was in. Malacia started the season injured, yeah? So we only had Luke Shaw. We went out and signed Reguilon on a loan deal just to send him back in January when we had Alvaro Fernandez at home that we could have given a chance to. He was another player that had a good loan spell at Preston North End last year. Ethan Laird, for me, too injury prone. You know, he had a decent first half of the season last year at QPR, but then injuries kind of messed him up. So I kind of understand why United sold him, but they sold him for such a stupid price because he's had, I think it was like 7 loan spells, 2 or 3 of them in the Championship, first team level, playing more than 30 games a season, and you sell him for less than $1 million. You sell him for less than $1 million. I don't know how you possibly do that. So you look at the academy players at United, and, you know, under Ten Hag, I feel like Ten Hag, shoot me if I'm wrong, guys, I feel like Ten Hag has a thing where it's like he promotes 1 academy player per season to the first team. If that makes sense. Last year, it was Garnacho. This year, it's Kobe. Is Hoof Tarashi and pray for the best the United way? I hope not, because I don't think I could watch that. Big up to Koala, says Salam alaikum minna wa alaikum salam. Hope you're doing good. Got to be good enough, minna. That's a valid point. But how do you know players? How will you ever know if players are good enough if they don't get a chance? and I don't think you can you can't judge a player whether they're good enough in the senior team based on, you know, how they play in the under 23s, in my opinion, because I feel like all players look good in under 23s. We've seen many players play in the under 23s or under 21s, whatever, for Manchester United, and then the second they come to first team, they don't look good. That's understandable. But how will you know unless people get a fair run of games? And I'm talking consistent minutes, consistent opportunities. Whether it's, you know, I'd rather see, you know, I don't know, a Dan Gore play 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, just for me to get a better understanding on the kind of player he is in the first team and if he'll play well, rather than to see him play one 90-minute game and judge it off that, if that makes sense. I would rather see him play 20 minutes in increments across a number of games to see the kind of impact he has, and then see him get a starting opportunity rather than just throw it. I think like Kobbie Mainoo, I think in my opinion, Kobbie Mainoo is cut from a different cloth. I think he's cut from a different cloth in comparison to a lot of these academy players. He didn't need to be eased in to the first team, because if you watched him in the academy games, he was head and shoulders above everyone. So he was always cut to jump straight into the first team, whereas other players have been eased in. Garnacho has been eased in, then he got his starting opportunities. Palestri tried to be eased in with his 5, 10, 15 minutes here and there, but never really did much with it. Do we actually have a replacement 10? When Bruno got a red, McTominay had to play his role. What's happening with Donny van der Brink? Bring on Elise, Garnacho, Ribery, and Robin. You guys, you're optimistic. I swear, you lot are way more optimistic than I am if you think United signing Elise, because I can't see it. I can't see it happening unless, you know, Elise matches this homegrown talent kind of thing. Then I get that. But Palace are going to be holding out for money. What is his release clause? I think he's got a release clause. Him and Eze just signed new contracts. And I think Elise's got a release clause. We don't know what the release clause is, but I did see a report that said it's more than 45 million for sure. But this point is quite valid in terms of we don't have a replacement 10. I think Ahmad can play the 10. I think Ahmad can play the 10 if he has wingers that are good at pass and move. If your wingers are good at pass and move, and that's the kind of player that he is, he's not the kind of player that will pick up the ball, dribble, hold on to it for so long, play a ball over the top. He will always find a man. He'll go for that one-touch pass, link up well. So if he's got wingers and a striker that can feed off of him well, I think he can play well in that 10 role. Will Ten Hag play him? Don't think so. I don't think Ten Hag will play him in the 10. But it's true, United don't really have a replacement in that 10 role. And Donny van der Beek, I just genuinely hope he has a good loan spell, because I've been gaslit for far too long, saying that I don't think Donny van der Beek is good enough for Manchester United. Doesn't mean he's not good enough to play elsewhere, but I said that I don't think he's good enough to play for Manchester United. It's as simple as that. He went on loan. Where was it that he went on loan to last time? I think it was Everton, right? He went on loan to Everton. Barely sniffed a chance there. Hopefully at Frankfurt, he gets a chance. And I hope he gets a fair run of chances. I hope he gets a fair run of games. I hope he gets assists, maybe a few goals. And I hope United can sell him for something, because that's a signing I will never understand. Donny van der Beek is probably one of the signings in the last 10 years. You know what? It blows my mind as much as signing Schweinsteiger. Even though I loved Schweinsteiger was one of my favorite players outside of Manchester United during that time. Yeah. But that was another transfer I just didn't understand. Or when we signed Schweinsteiger and Schneiderlin and barely played either of them. And you know what? Schweinsteiger still loves Manchester United. It's so funny how he's always tweeting about them whenever United have big games, etc. But again, Donny van der Beek is a signing I will never understand. And I feel like it was just a here, shut up kind of signing to the manager. You know, they went out, signed him 40 million, however much it was, and kind of just said, take the signing and keep it stepping, keep it stepping. But I hope Donny van der Beek does well. And one thing I will always say is any player that goes out on loan, I will hope that they do well, because that will just boost their transfer value. It's as simple as that, because we need to sell players. United needs to sell players. The last time we sold a player for a profit was Dan James. Before that, I can't even remember when it was. Too many players. Every summer, I feel like we have such a long list of players that leave because their contract has finished. Like, I feel like that inevitably happens every single time. So for once this summer, please, I just want to see us sell 2, 3, 4 players. Like, it's not that difficult. Surely it can't be that difficult, right? It can't be. Big up VK with the super chat. I appreciate the contribution. Says, to be frank, it needs the board to tell Ten Hag a 2-year plan to develop our youth and progress, building up playing style and improvements, not always UCL as a benchmark. So would you guys be happy with, based on VK's comment here, would you be happy with what he mentioned, saying youth progress, build up playing style, improvements, etc., and not be playing in Champions League, say for a year or 2 years, say for the next 2 seasons, United are not in the Champions League, yeah? So starting from next season and the season after that, United are not in Champions League, but there's a style of football, there's a progress, United have built up football, youth are being integrated into the team, the manager's doing well. Would you be happy with that? And United are not competing in Champions League? Because I'm under the impression, like, why can't both happen at the same time? I'm under the impression of, why can't it both happen at the same time? Why can't the manager do this and be in the Champions League? I feel like Champions League is probably the perfect example to kind of adapt, because playing in Champions League, I think, you approach the games different to how you approach Premier League opponents. And the problem that we've seen, like under Ten Hag, for example, is that his adaptability is not really there. He doesn't really know how to adapt to opponents or adapt in game, and he has a plan, and outside of that plan, it's kind of like there's no other plans. So he can go for a punch, and if the opponent goes for a punch, he has nothing to kind of punch back with. So I'm not too sure how I feel about that, but I do agree that if the board have a plan for the manager, and they kind of have like a set out plan that kind of points out the benchmarks, then that's something that I can support the manager behind. I can get behind that. But when I feel like when a manager comes out after a game and says, "Oh, we should have won, we played better, but we sucked," like, let's be for real, guys. Let's call delusion what it is. Let's call delusion what it is. Big up to Imran in the chat. Thank you. I'm feeling better now. Alhamdulillah, I'm feeling a lot better. Joe says, Mina, do you think this is our worst season so far in a long time? Because I genuinely can't remember it being this bad. This season absolutely sucks. Like we play Wigan on, what is it, Monday? And I just feel like United is, I don't want to say we're going to lose, but I feel like it's so United-ish to lose. And I feel like losing to Wigan is a sackable offence, guys. I genuinely think if we lose to Wigan Tuesday morning, this manager has to be sacked. Obviously, this is just hypotheticals. But the reason why I'm saying that is because Wigan got relegated from the Championship last season. Yeah, they're in League One, right? They got their own financial troubles. I've actually got a Wigan shirt. I just realised. I was thinking, I got a Wigan shirt. Yeah, I've actually got a Wigan shirt. If we lose to Wigan, I have to get rid of it. I actually have to get rid of it. And I know you lot are probably thinking, why the hell does Mina have a Wigan shirt out of all kits? I got it gifted by a player that played for Wigan that I interviewed. But if we lose to Wigan, I have to get rid of that shirt, bro. I actually have to get rid of that shirt. But let me not get myself too hyped up about, if buts, maybes in it. But I'm just saying, I think this will be the icing on the cake for it to be the worst season, is if we get knocked out round 4. Is it round 4 of the FA Cup? 4th round? By Wigan. By because you lot remember, do you guys remember MK Dons? I still have nightmares about that game. Honestly, I still have nightmares about that game. A week to prepare. I expect us to win over Wigan or game over for Ten Hag. The funny thing is, we had a week to prepare against what game was it? But there's a game that we played recently, Premier League game on a weekend, and we had no midweek games. But the manager gave them half of the week off to rest, and then we ended up getting slapped. I can't remember. I don't know if it wasn't Bournemouth, so it must have been West Ham. It was the West Ham game. We had a whole week off leading up to the West Ham game, and the manager gave. Yeah, we had a whole week. That's why I don't feel like having a week to prepare for a game anymore is kind of like a leveling field or anything, because we've already seen what happens when we've had a week off. That was not cool. Big up to Keegan. Been a member for a month. Big up. Says, good to see you, Mina. You've been missed. Thank you very, very much. If we haven't discussed it yet, can we discuss Mary Earps at some point? Yes, I will discuss Mary Earps. Actually, let me come to that point. But guys, if you want to be a member, just like Keegan, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get a lot of custom member content, and of course, you support the channel as a full-time content creator. You know, it helps to support me and it helps to support the channel. But quickly on Mary Earps, if you guys do follow Manchester United women, this Mary Earps saga is absolutely doing my head in. It's absolutely it's as if Manchester United men don't stress me out enough. Is the women have started to stress me out enough. Mary Earps, for some of you, if you don't know, England Lioness goalkeeper, has won multiple individual trophies over the last season. Golden Glove winner last season for Manchester United in the WSL. She's actually tied right now for the Golden Glove as well this season so far. She can leave Manchester United on a free in the summer because her contract finishes. But there's a big but. Arsenal came in last summer, and not even last summer, it is last summer, but this summer technically. Arsenal came in with a transfer, highest bid ever for a goalkeeper, and Manchester United declined it. They said no, because one thing I think Manchester United are quite stern on is that they will not strengthen a rival directly by selling a player. If the player goes there on a free, that's their business. But I think United have stayed firm with that decision, that they will not sell to a direct rival. Now, January, she can start looking around and sniffing around to other teams. And there's a lot of teams in the race for her right now. It's not just Arsenal. Arsenal are in the race. I've seen Bayern Munich are in the race. PSG are in the race. Real Madrid are in the race. Barcelona's in the race. Manchester United are in the race. Everybody wants Mary Earps. And I feel like United are at a point now where, so if you guys don't know, last season, unfortunately, a lot of the contract negotiations was being done by people from the men's side of football, because Manchester United women didn't have that. They didn't have a negotiator. They never had none of that. So Murto allocated people from the men's team that deal with men's transfers to help with this. Obviously, what happened? We didn't sign anyone. We didn't sign anyone whose contract expired. We didn't extend it because they didn't come to any agreement, because they left it quite last minute. I think Alicia Russo only got a contract offer from Manchester United the last week of the WSL season, which kind of says a lot. Like, why would you stay at a club when they offer you a new contract just a week before the season ends? That kind of says enough. But with the Mary Earps situation, it's quite interesting because they've known for a long time that Manchester United were not, I think they knew for a long time Manchester United were going to trigger her 1-year extension, which they did. But also on top of that, United did go out and sign a new goalkeeper. They signed a backup goalkeeper. Haven't really given her any chances in the WSL yet. But I think it's like United are, what's the word when you can see something happening on the horizon, so you kind of prepare for it. United have kind of prepared for it by signing a goalkeeper. So if Mary Earps does leave, inevitably, shit happens. Like, in my opinion, shit happens in it. And I mean that in a polite way, because players come and go at United. I've seen so many players leave Manchester United women. Mary Earps is just going to be another player on that list. And you know what? It's unfortunate. But sometimes, if a player don't want to stay, they don't have to stay. It's only just recently, actually, that United have entered the race reportedly for that being an option for her. A lot of the reports have been that it's Arsenal, PSG, Barcelona is kind of like a lot of the options that she's looking at. But I will do a video after today's stream. I'll do like a quick roundup about what is happening with Mary Earps, just so that you guys know. And of course, we will be back with Manchester United women's content. Actually, I was going to say next week, but I'm going to the game next week. And then the week after that, I'm going to that game as well. So it'll be a lot of vlogs coming for the women's content, as always. Big up to Ash with the super chat. I appreciate it. It says, big up, Mina. It's hard to agree, as this is Manchester United. We have a history and wage structure that shows we should be competing in big trophies, not mid-club. I think this is in reference to the point that VK brought up. And I actually agree. I genuinely agree. I feel like, when you're a big club, you should be able to do things at the same time. So you should be able to develop your team. You should be able to, have progress. And you should also be able to be in, the big competitions like the Champions League, FA Cup, competing in the Premier League, etc., etc. I think inevitably that should be the case. Big up to Imran says, how many more games are we going to lose this season? Well, I don't want to put it like that. I don't want to think about it, firstly. I saw we lost 9 games last season, and we already lost 9 games, I think, by like November this season. I saw that we lost about 20-something games in the entire calendar year of 2023. And I think 14 of that came this season. And the season had only been like 3.5 months of the year. I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm at a point now where I go into a lot of games just not knowing. It's just uncertainty. It's just uncertainty for every single game. And it's quite unfortunate. You know, because this time last year is when we were starting the run of games. You know, we beat City in January. You know, we beat Barcelona in February. Won the Carabao Cup. But, you know, we're going into a Wigan game in the FA Cup saying, oh my God, imagine we lose. Because that's how poor we've been this season. And you know what? They've had a long break off. Well, it's not been it's been a long break off. They've had a long time off. So essentially, I think it will reflect very poorly on the players. And I don't know if you guys saw the article about the Athletic today. Let me know if you have seen it. If not, I'll summarize it for you guys. What do you think about Onana delaying his departure for AFCON? Feel sad for Bayinda right now. You know what? Yeah, I've been wanting to talk about this. I'm glad someone actually mentioned it. I've been wanting to talk about it. First and foremost, I think that's an ultimate disrespect to the AFCON competition and Cameroon national team. Firstly, yeah. I think on Onana's behalf, that's disrespectful. On United's half, I think that's so disrespectful to Bayinda. I think that's basically saying you don't trust, like the fact that Wigan and Spurs is the only 2 games United have this month. So probably by the time, because guys, I got a video coming out later about AFCON. My hot take is Cameroon's getting knocked out in the group stages, yeah. But the fact that you don't even trust your backup goalkeeper just for 1 game, we might see a record number of goals conceded in 2 consecutive days by Onana, because there's no way. Are you telling me he's playing Spurs at 4:30, then he's jumping on a flight at 8 p.m. to go to Ivory Coast to meet up with his squad to play a game on Monday? That's absolutely ridiculous. And that's disrespectful, I think, as a player to your national team. But also, why is your national team agreeing that with your club in the first place? Like honestly, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. And I know a lot of people actually don't care about AFCON, you know, and you don't have to. You don't have to care about AFCON. You don't have to watch it. But I feel like the least clubs can do is respect it. I saw Klopp saying that he's basically hoping that his players get knocked out in AFCON and the Asia Cup so that they just come back. You'd never see someone saying that about the France national team. You would never see someone, you know, if it's a competition, you'll see managers saying, you know, I hope they bring the trophy home. But instead we're hearing, oh, I hope they get knocked out and they come home early. I think on just overall, on Bayinda's side of thing, my guy should just leave. I don't know why he came to Manchester United. Has anyone actually, I seen him once sitting on the bench when the camera panned to the bench, and I was like, who the hell is that guy? And then I realized it was him. Unfortunately, that guy is not getting a chance. He's not getting a sniff in that first team anytime soon. Even if I think if Onana broke his leg, United will make him sit on the line and play in goal. Bayinda is not getting a sniff to start. He's not getting a sniff of playing, and unfortunately, it's sad. It's just sad. I think we just have a big issue with the time it's hosted, not really the tournament on its own. Yeah, I think obviously holding a tournament mid-season whilst the season continues for everyone else, it is a problem. But it's not just AFCON that happens. The Asia Cup happens at the same time. And that's mid-season for everyone else as well. It's mid-season for even all the teams in like Saudi Arabia, etc. I think one thing is that, because I always wonder, yeah, why is it that they don't want to hold AFCON in the summer? Is it because it's so hot in Africa? Number one, is that one of the reasons? Because, you know, imagine playing football in 45 degrees. That's the first point. The second point is, do they feel like if they hold AFCON in the summer, no one's going to watch it because of, you know, the Euros, etc.? Do they think like, because, you know, other competitions might be on, so no one's going to watch AFCON? There's no time. I don't think there's ever a good time in the season to hold a competition. But I do feel like January is probably the best time, because it seems like this month. Like last month, there was a lot of games for United because of the Carabao Cup, etc. But it seems like this month, if you ain't in the Carabao Cup, you're chilling. You're chilling. The women's AFCON is held in summer. It's not that cold in the evening. Yeah, it was held in the summer. You're right. You are right. It's just quite interesting, and I feel like CAF, the African Federation, they aren't budging. They're never going to budge on this. I don't think they're ever going to budge on this. You know, if you're African, you know the stubbornness that comes with being an African. So they're not going to budge on it. So essentially, it's going to stay like this forever. Mina, I never want my players going on international duty. I'm a United supporter, not England supporter or any other international. You know, I agree with this to some aspects. Because sometimes, like for example, when Rashford wasn't playing well, Sancho wasn't playing well, I didn't want them to go on international duty if they got called up. I remember Rashford actually pulled out with an injury last season, and I feel like that actually helped him because he just stayed back at Carrington and worked out. I agree with this. If I have no issue with international duty outside of the season, like I have no issue with that. They tried holding it in the summer in the past. Can't remember why they changed it back. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Now it's just the weather and the domestic leagues can only break then, innit? Oh yeah, because I forgot there's the domestic leagues as well. Let me actually Google this. Why is AFCON? It's not in the summer. There you go. Okay, there's not really any. Okay, so yeah, all right, that kind of makes sense. A lot of people are saying because of the summer. Some people are saying because of the. Some people are saying it's because of the. Some people are saying because it's wet season. It's actually quite. A lot of the answers are inconsistent. People are saying it's wet season in the Western Sahara countries, so you can't play football in the wet season. I don't think that's right because I've been to Africa in the summer. It's not wet. But I think this is the biggest one. It's consistent football throughout. Basically a long time. Ask Snapchat AI. I should. I think it's quite important for a lot of players to establish greatness internally and externally with international games. You know what? I'm gonna do streams during AFCON. I'm gonna do some watch alongs. It's gonna be exciting because one thing I love about AFCON is just it doesn't make sense. AFCON doesn't make sense. You will see a Premier League player or a European top 5 European League player getting bullied by a guy whose part-time job is a footballer. Like literally, that's what I like about AFCON. It's just so unpredictable. But it's also, somebody mentioned it here, it discourages people to sign African players. The thing is that in the Premier League, I think there's only about 20-something players going to AFCON, give or take. There's about 20, I think it was like 28 players altogether. Man City has no player going to AFCON or the Asia Cup. I don't know what Pep was on when he's signing players, but Man City have no players going to the Asia Cup. This is their time to kind of this is their time to catch up with everyone else in the league. This is essentially their time to catch up with everyone else in the league. I hope journalists do ask Ten Hag this question. Excuse me, like why Arte is not getting an opportunity when Onana is making mistakes. Is it because of favoritism? Because he was his player at Ajax, but they did fall out a bit at Ajax, didn't they? They did fall out at Ajax, so it's not that. I don't think it's favoritism. I feel like Ten Hag is very stubborn in the way that if he thinks something is going to work, he will keep at it and he will keep at it and he will keep at it. It's as simple as that's literally what I think it is. I think that's the case. I genuinely just think that he's very stubborn, that he thinks that it's going to work. You know, when he'll play Bruno through a spell of bad games, he'll play Rashford through a spell of bad games. The only reason why I genuinely think he benched Rashford was because the media were getting onto him and players and fans were getting onto him, and they were asking him about this in press conferences. If they never asked him about, Rashford not tracking back that day in that game, I don't think he would have benched Rashford. I don't think he would have benched Rashford. I just think he probably thought, oh my god, everybody's like, I need to make a statement. Because people are going to think that I'm too, what's it called? I'm too lenient, or I've got favorites, or everyone's going to think Sancho was right and all of that kind of stuff. That's all I think. I don't think it's favoritism. I just think that he's quite like with the Onana situation in particular. I just think he's very stubborn, and he thinks that some of these players, because I was told signing a goalkeeper, we'll play out from the back. We've got another player in attack, all of that stuff, passing from the feet, blah, da, 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 da. I think Ten Hag is adamant that these players can play the way he wants them to play. So he will keep pushing with it. He will keep pushing with it. He'll keep pushing with it. It's as simple as that. I remember when Fergie never used to sign African players. When I was young, I thought he was racist. Now he just ain't on that losing players mid-season. I think the teams that feel the biggest brunt of it all is teams in like the Dutch league, because I know a lot of players in the Dutch league play for like Dutch league, Italian league, French league. A lot of them play for like North African teams. So I kind of feel like they're going to feel the biggest brunt of it all. Erik ten Hag is actually going to start an honor against Wigan. That's how ridiculous it's gotten. You know what's funny is that we were once upon a time, we'd have a cup goalkeeper and a league goalkeeper, because your you don't need to play your league goalkeeper every single game. You don't need to do that. But Ten Hag is at a point where he don't trust anyone. I feel like if Onana wasn't available, he would go and goal himself because he doesn't trust Benda. For what reason? I don't know. We sold Kova to buy Benda for however many, whatever it was, 6 million, 5 million, I don't know. But that makes no sense. It makes zero sense whatsoever. Keegan says, my 2 cents on AFCON, the quality compared to European or South American football is bad. My country, South Africa, is so crap. I don't watch any local games or AFCON. I hear it. My national team is not in AFCON, in it. Unfortunately, I don't think we've ever actually qualified for AFCON. I think we've finished rock bottom in every AFCON qualifying group that we've ever played in. And you know what, guys? My brother played for them once. He was a captain, and they finished rock bottom. And when he came back home from the competition, everyone, we were just all laughing at him. But I get the point. I kind of get the point. I don't think the level of football is bad. I think, I think there's a big difference between certain national teams in terms of the caliber of football. Not only that, but like the management styles. You can see, the development of certain national teams. Guinea is on the come up now. Obviously, there's Senegal, there's Morocco. Ivory Coast was once a great team. They're on the come up again as well. You got Cameroon, you got Nigeria, you got Ghana. But I think also AFCON is a very West and South dominated, and North, like East Africa, for example, is non-existent in AFCON. Like countries do qualify. I've seen Ethiopia in it. I've seen Tanzania in it. I've seen Sudan in it. But in terms of the caliber of football, I think you're right. A lot of it is quite, and also the teams are quite dominated by, those of, if you've got players in the top European leagues, you're going to play well. It's as simple as that. Essentially, it's like that. Raw. Imagine being a pro at your own family. Anybody can get it. Yeah, no, my brother brought us back like shirts and everything, and we were just like, you're crap. There's a funny picture. Let me see if I can ever find. I don't know if I'll be able to find this picture, but there was a picture of when they played against Uganda that it was all over like the internet, and that it was on like the front page covers of newspapers and whatnot. But nah, the only place I'll find it is if I go onto Instagram, which is long. Yeah, that's long. Would you take Carlo Ancelotti as United manager? Well, he just signed a contract extension at Real Madrid, so I don't think that's really an option. I think the issue is the money invested in football development in that region. I don't think that's the issue, because if you look at like there's a lot of academies popping up across Africa, especially West and North. There's a lot of academies popping up. I think it's trying to find that balance between local football and European football. So, because when you bring a national team together where they're mixed, half of them play in the local leagues and half of them play abroad, it's kind of difficult to find a balance. And I think that's where the problem is. And also, I feel like a lot of national teams, some of them have that problem. So the better African teams like Ghana, Nigeria, Morocco, Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, all of that kind of countries, they've got players that play locally and they've got players that play abroad. I think Morocco have a lot of the Moroccan players that play outside of Europe play for the best teams in the continent, essentially. So I think there's a big gap in between the countries that don't have developed football and the countries that do have developed. I think that's the biggest gap of it all with AFCON. Can he play right wing? Must be better than Anthony. Nah, he's a centre back. My brother was a centre back. He was captain as well for the national team, which is funny. Mina, I understand why Haag wants Onana playing. He is now under the microscope with INEOS, so he will not take any risk. Don't you think it's a risk playing Onana when you don't know? Like with Onana, don't you think you don't know what you're gonna get? Like I feel like with Andre Onana, you don't know what you're gonna get every game. And let's be for real, guys. Let's be totally honest with each other. Yeah, your heart stops a little bit every time it's a corner or a set piece and Onana comes out for it. Let's be for real. Everyone, your heart stops because mine does. My heart drops to my stomach. My heart drops to my stomach every single time. And essentially, how can you keep going with that? I feel like also there was a time this season I genuinely think, you know, if the manager had dropped Onana, it probably would have caused an uproar because people would have been like, you know, you got rid of David De Gea, you signed this guy for 50-60 million, however much it was that we paid for him, you know, and now you're dropping him after like 2-3 bad Champions League games. And I feel like the manager's avoiding that kind of criticism. I don't think the manager wants a microscope under his... I don't think it's about the players. I think he doesn't want a microscope under the kind of players he's signed, which is why he kind of persists with playing his signings. We've been knowing, you know, at the beginning of the season, we knew the Mount and Bruno thing weren't going to work, but he did it. Mount got injured, unfortunately. Anthony, we knew you weren't going to be the answer to the right-hand side, but the manager persists with it. Andre Onana, the manager has persisted with it. I don't think he wants his signings to be under a microscope so much. Hannibal Mejbri has decided to join Sevilla on loan until the end of the season. I mentioned this earlier in the stream when I was talking about his contract extension or the 1-year option that he got triggered. That's interesting because hopefully he gets playing time at Sevilla. It's as simple as that. Like, let me actually see. Let me just see the terms of it. Give me a second. I'm just gonna... Let's see, who can I go to? Whose page would most likely be posting about it? There you go. He's decided to join Sevilla on loan until the end of the season. Negotiations are ongoing between Sevilla and Manchester United to finalize the agreement. Listen, I just hope he gets playing time and I hope he gets a... That's it. If we're going to sell him in the summer, lift your price. It's as simple as that. Facundo Pellistri, Villarreal are lining up a permanent offer for Facundo Pellistri, and Eric Ten Hag is reportedly ready to let him leave. So that's going to be two academy players leaving in... Yeah, 2 academy players leaving in January. 1 on loan, 1 on a permanent. Who's reporting it is reported by a Sevilla newspaper. I trust them because they're in Sevilla. I trust them because they are in Sevilla. Hannibal Mejbri learning tactical fouls and tackles from Sergio Ramos. Let's have it. Spain will be good for Hannibal. I think a lot of people don't realize how techy he is. I think he is. He's got good tech. I think technically he's a good player. I just think there's some flaws in his game, but I genuinely think that he could have been a bench option at United. Like, I actually think he could have been a rotation player. I think he thinks he probably can start for a team, which is fine. I'm respectful of that. If you think you can start for a team, I'm all for that. But I definitely think he could have played a role for Manchester United. But you guys already know what it is. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. I'll be back probably later on this afternoon with another transfer video. But this time, we're just going to be talking live stream about everyone but Manchester United. That's it. And if you don't want to hear that, unfortunately, guys, I'm sorry. I'll be out with a video as well later today about AFCON that kicks off next week. I'll be back tomorrow with a live stream ahead of the Wigan game, kind of previewing that. I might do a watch along on Monday, guys. I might do a watch along. Let me know if that's something you guys would like to see. We're stepping up the content this year. If you want to join the membership club, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get a lot of custom member content, and you get to support me and the growth of this channel as a full-time content creator, man. You guys already know what it is. Big up to everyone. I'll be also back with my Twitch streams. I've been sick. That's my excuse. I've been sick. But I'll be back streaming on Twitch as well across the weekend. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe. And until later, it's your girl, Mina. Peace.